Alright, so I don't know what I'm going to call this video. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. But I'm out here LARPing, doing the things in full kit. I recorded a video the other day, and I said something just kind of impromptu. And I think it was something like LARPing changed my life. And what I mean by that was my perspectives on gear have changed so much in the last year, 6 months, year and a half. From several years ago, thinking I was going to be Johnny Fudd with a 30-06 and one or two boxes, 20-round boxes, to watching a lot of content, watching a lot of people who have kind of been there. What was that? I just heard something. Yeah, I don't know. And really rethinking about what's practical, what would work, what wouldn't work, and really fine-tuning the system. So there's a lot to be said for doing a lot of research and hearing what works for some, and then getting out there and figuring out what works for you. Check out this 640 DO. So those trees are like, I don't know, 70, 80 yards. And would you be able to PID anything? I don't think so. Sorry, this 640 DF. I think it's a DO. This Surefire, man, that is one thing too. Speaking of get out and figure out what works and what doesn't, is this rifle, this light, this optic choice. Use it, put it all together, play around with gear. I was really bad about, I would make my mind up on something and set something up a certain way for a certain reason. Maybe a cool guy on the interwebs did it, and not getting out and using stuff and figuring out what worked, what didn't work, why did it work, why didn't it work. And I think a lot of us probably started off listening to Nut and Fancy, his philosophy videos, Sheepdog Concept, Close to Engage, Minuteman Prerogative, so on and so on. And if you haven't seen those, go to Nut and Fancy's channel and watch those. They really do lay the groundwork for, I think, a lot of people's feelings if you're watching this video and into these types of things. But I started off, when I started getting into more, and I hate to use the word tactical, but just modern Minuteman, being prepared to adapt, to hopefully respond to a more modernized conflict, and getting the gear that I would need. A couple years ago, I didn't even know a civilian could own a plate carrier. I didn't know the first thing about ARs, to where now I have redundancy in my systems. Take from that what you will. And getting some laps in this kit. But building out these loadouts, if you will, and then my philosophies from just figuring out what has worked and what doesn't work have changed so much, where I initially thought, as a Minuteman, or whatever you want to call it, about as an American responding to a situation, logistics are probably not going to be in our favor with whatever's happening. So whatever I do, I need to pack in heavy, because what I take with me and have on me is probably what I've got. Then watched a Risky Krisky video, RIP to his channel. I hope it gets brought back up. you go out and start doing the things at night, testing this gear, running your system complete, LARPing beyond your mother's basement or around the house, and getting out and going over different types of terrain in different weather conditions, at different physical paces and levels of exertion. It changes a lot. It'll open your eyes, or at least it did mine. Where what we just talked about, where I thought, hey, I'll pack everything I need with me. Even before that, all I need is my bolt action with a 3x9, and I'm going to be Alan C. York picking them off. Go look at the riots. You need a lot more than a 3 or 4 shot bolt action. To going on the flip side, extremely heavy, and then this thing called cardio being your worst enemy, get you killed quicker than if you didn't have anything at all, packing in that heavy. To find an system that works. And so I went from not even the bare minimum to way overpacked, way overloaded, to then streaming that back down to, I think one of my trail cameras just got me all rolling a picture, if it did, to scaling it out without making it bulky and cumbersome, and where I could still move enough and do enough to hopefully be able to move. I'll say this too, LARPing in kit, I'm currently rocking an Agilite K19 level 4 plates. I've got 7 mags in the current loadout. I can't remember how many I put. I can't remember if I have any in the AMAT pack right now or not. I can't remember if I put them in there. But at least 7 mags in what I'm currently carrying. And finding ways to be scalable without being bulky. And where I can't move, where I cannot evade, where I cannot advance aggressively, whatever I needed to do. Everything's changed. So, I don't really know if I'm going anywhere necessarily with this, other than getting out and LARPing. One, the health benefits. I've lost, 35 pounds in the last year. It's got me in better shape. Remember what we talked about with cardio? Yeah, I found out real quick that was going to be my worst enemy above anything else if anything ever did happen. So I've got probably another 20 pounds I could stand to lose, and I'll keep rocking this this weighted vest, we'll call it that, and shedding those LBs. To just figuring out what works and what doesn't. I gotta adjust something real quick. Alright, I had to adjust something. We'll see how that works, but I'm not out in a neighborhood or an urban setting walking around and doing this, obviously, with a 16-inch BCM strapped over my K19 with a Blue Alpha battle belt. Obviously not in an urban environment. I'm in a rural area. I've only got one neighbor who can see my house, and I've been doing this at night, where I don't have to be worried about someone labeling me as a crazy person. I would say I'm normal. I would say I'm sane, sober, moral, prudent. I'm just trying to be prepared, but not worried about being labeled as, the crazy guy. But just running your system and figuring out what works. I think Krisky said in a video something about Don't get your team killed because you're a fat, insert choice word, and that being the reason why you die and someone else doesn't go back to their family because you're out of shape. You hadn't run your system and figured out what works, what doesn't work. Like, get all that squared away as much as you can ahead of time.